born an athlete, you'll die an athlete. It's in your DNA.
You're an athlete. Live like an athlete so that you can be successful in life.
You're an athlete. Live like it.
ANA, America needs athletes.
That was like
timing.
a year ago,
Perfect
and
timing.
that was you were
And then for
supposed
the
to.
cravings, we can ask like who they like, what guy
Oh
they
my
like better,
gosh!
There we go.
and we could have them fill out brackets too. Whoever wants.
Start like a
Like
betting
this
pool
could
on
be
it.
like
There you
a.
go.
Start taking money on
Yeah, right.
It could be.
$10.
All right, so that was our cold start. We are live.
Oh shit. Okay.
Oh no!
Welcome, athletes, into the gym closet for another awesome episode. We are talking Bachelorette. Is that
Bachelorette,
correct?
because it started last night. Yes.
Big deal.
So I'm trying to get all these guys to fill out a bracket and watch it with their girlfriends, wives, and they're gonna thank me for it. And we're gonna fill out a bracket and we're gonna talk about it every week, and it's gonna be awesome.
We have a weekly Bachelor.
So, for all of you that want
Well-
to follow along, jump on the Bachelorette train. And are there like brackets that you can like?
I think there's like
Fill out.
printable, yeah.
this is like a full on sporting.
I
event.
kind
And I
of
know-
dig the competitive side of it here.
Yeah. And you know, luck's on my side. Well, not luck. I can just like sense when the men get out of the limo. I'm like, that's it. And I pick like the top 3 every single time.
Do you? Okay.
I do.
Well,
Well,
you
we're
can't.
gonna- we're
So
Don't
gonna
say
do
those.
I'm gonna keep the bracket to
I
myself.
was gonna
and
say,
I'm not
don't
gonna
keep
say
them out loud
anything.
because I'll fill out one.
Okay.
And well, like what we were talking about, I enjoy. Well, one, I don't enjoy any of them, but I do like watching TV with you because you don't watch any
I've
TV,
never watched
and
TV.
so the fact that we can sit down and relax together, that's the only. If that's the program that has to be on
If that's what
in
it's
order to
gonna
do
take.
that,
You'll
I'm
do
okay
it.
with it. So, but I can't stand the Bachelor, which is
Yes,
the
all the girls.
20
So this
girls,
one's the
right?
Bachelorette with all the guys. Yeah.
Yes. Somehow that one's even worse. Like you said, Haley will have it on, and I'll like. It's one of those shows that like you just get sucked in. Like it's so
Yeah.
frustrating.
It is.
It's just like cliffhanger after
Yes.
cliffhanger.
Yeah.
And you're like,
I don't
did they really
care
just
about
say
any
that?
of this, but I
Right,
gotta watch
it's
the
all
first
such
episode,
bullshit.
and I have to know what happens
They're the
next, and
best
I have to know what
marketers.
happens after that.
And then
it's
the
like,
way they cut it up, it would be like us cutting it up something completely out of context and then putting it into a different scenario, and then you think that person
For the
like
commercials.
died?
Yeah.
Yeah.
for the commercials, like that person died in that, and it actually
Right.
was
And
talking
yeah.
about like
Like it was just a
Something
joke.
else got
Like
killed.
Yeah. Or
it
you
was a
watch
joke.
the scene and you're like, that was what the commercial was about.
Yeah.
It's so
yeah,
funny.
they will overhype.
The
it to max.
producers, whoever produces
they have
those
like
shows
elite
are like,
producers.
and like
100%.
and the situations that they will like put them
Oh, they're
into like
horrible.
coincidentally
Yeah.
right.
is just incredible. Like
Oh my god, it's bad.
For those just listening, that was in giant air quotes. Coincidentally.
coincidentally,
Nothing
it's not nothing's a
happens on
coincidence.
accident.
Like there was one I don't think I watched this one. I watched like 10% of the actual show, but from what I like to read about it on Twitter though afterwards. So, and like one of the things I saw was like they went on like a one-on-one date to like some like very like it was like a country music. Who was it?
Oh, I remember this.
And I don't remember who it was.
I watched this. It was a couple seasons ago on
And-
Bachelor.
And
they
it
went
was
to
where
the girl.
she dated,
the girl
like-
dated the country
Yeah,
artist.
Yeah.
the
It was
same
Chase
person.
Rice.
Chase
Chase
Rice,
Rice,
yeah.
yeah.
And
And
she
they were
like,
like-
he comes up and like they make eye contact. It's super awkward.
And like the camera
That's
was
awesome.
Yeah.
the camera was like her because like they were like
She's
it's
just
like
like
an anonymous country artist and it's like
I remember
and it's like
that.
a very small concert, so like very like in a little room, you know.
And you know,
Yeah.
in that girl's audition video, it was
They-
like, I dated Chase
Yeah,
Rice.
and the producers are like,
Yeah,
oh,
like,
the
let's-
producers
yeah,
like
let's-
will like go down
So
your like
interesting.
oh yeah.
whole friend and family history and be like, give us anything you can on this.
Oh, yeah.
people.
That's awesome.
And there
They're
was
like, they're trying to make
another.
their lives hell when they get there.
Not to make this entire podcast about.
It's too
about
late.
Oh, let's
shows.
do
We're
it.
done.
We
We're
got
done.
all day.
It's too late.
We also were talking about TikToks and stupid TikToks and stuff.
If you guys haven't seen that,
Don't do it.
don't look
It's
at
stuck
it.
in my head for 10 seconds of it.
It is. So that's kind of the last week. These idiots on their TikTok rappers. Would you call them that?
I don't
If
even know
that.
what they are. Just
Anyway,
TikTok idiots.
It's funny, but they're blowing up for absolutely no reason other than it is very addicting.
Welcome
The
to
song's already
welcome
stuck in
to
my
the
head.
internet.
I watched it one
2021.
time
It's
and
their
stuck.
voice and how they're
It
dressed
is.
or not dressed.
That's,
I don't know. Their hair.
you guys like
It's
tattoos
just something
and
about it.
dreads
Like it
and
just
dreads
yeah.
and
Just very comical.
It's-
It's like if you were like attracted to watching a clown, like You know what I mean? Like you watch a clown
It's
for
so
what
dumb
purpose?
it's so dumb that you're
You know what I mean?
intrigued.
To
Right.
kind of laugh at the clown, to whatever. That is kind of what their persona to me. But there's how many did you say views on
Like
TikTok?
that one,
Millions?
the one
6
video
million?
you talked about had like 5.5 million
Yeah.
views.
It's nuts.
crazy.
It's stupid.
Like that's insane. But
Welcome to the internet.
welcome to the internet, 2021. But yeah, so if this is your first time joining us, the Gym Closet is more than just a Bachelorette podcast. We talk about how to live like an athlete, and what that means is how to live successfully, how to achieve what you want in life. And today we're going to talk a little bit more. So we started a conversation about kind of our goal in even just the word and the definition of athlete, and redefining what people think of what an athlete is. So that's kind of what we're going to dive in. We started the conversation in the office. We're like, let's just record this entire conversation as candid as we can, and talk about what our goal kind of as the business. We'll talk about a little bit about like the marketing of what we do, but really it's about the buy-in of the how you see yourself, and that being defined as being an athlete. So I was out of town meeting with some of our partners yesterday all day, and so we kind of talked about like what is it with the word athlete that post sports you have the standard person has a kind of reluctancy to say that I'm an athlete outside of playing that sport, right? So I think a lot of people will say I'm an ex-athlete, you know what I mean, because I'm not playing the sport anymore.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that I'm I used to be an athlete, all that kind of stuff nobody has a problem with. But to say that I'm still an athlete, and it's interesting because to me, so yesterday I was a football player. My season ends. I'm no longer a football player. I'm done with college football, or even you retire in like pro football or whatever. So that athlete, right? Something happened. They're done playing football. They're done playing their sport. You're done playing volleyball. You played your last game. You're done with practice. What has changed in the way that you attack life, in the way that you attack your future job, in the way that you attack just the way that you think about your attitude? What changes other than the fact that you no longer have that vehicle? You no longer have volleyball, football, soccer, baseball. You don't have that thing. What else has changed about you? Absolutely nothing. And so it's funny that the label athlete, even physically, nothing changed about you physically. So now
up until the age of 24, what is it, 23, then you're no longer an athlete.
Right.
But yeah, there's.
And so now you physically can do everything that you could have done yesterday, but now you're done playing that sport, and so I'm no longer an athlete. Like physically, I can do the exact same thing that I did yesterday when I was playing football. Today I'm not playing football anymore, so now physically I'm not an athlete anymore. That's why we're kind of trying to figure out ways of describing what an athlete is post sports and what we define athlete is. And so we were looking at some of the Home Depot commercials, right? And they were like, we are for the doer, the person that is going to fix their drain, and the person, and so they're showing people buying the product and installing a sink themselves and shit like that, right? And to me, all of that kind of clicks as that person is an athlete. Like the mindset that you learn from sports is I'm going to take this challenge or this, and it doesn't have to be, for me, building a shed makes me an athlete, right? But for someone else, it might be going to work and crushing it on the computer is being an athlete, because it's that mindset of, and this is living as an athlete. Obviously, the physical side of things, the reason you're an athlete still physically is because you train a certain way. You come to Krave and you train, or you train like an athlete somewhere
And
else.
it doesn't mean that you're the fastest, strongest, best when you come into the gym. You know, I think that's where a lot of people go wrong, is that they think this athlete, you have to be like a Tom Brady, right?
Right.
Where you don't have to set your expectation that high.
Right.
Like an
Colt
athlete
McCoy
is
a quarterback. Tom Brady is a quarterback. Like they're the adjective the describing word?
Yes.
I was not an English major.
Well, we can tell.
So adjective, like to describe that they're both quarterbacks, right? They're both athletes. Is one an All-American or an Hall of Famer, all-time GOAT? Yes. Is the other not? Right. Okay. So, but you wouldn't describe them differently.
Right.
They're still athletes.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's in sport, right?
Mm-hmm.
So same thing. The guy that's working overtime, you know, crunching numbers and doing awesome things on the computer, being successful at work, and the guy working a blue collar job, you know, laying concrete and doing, you know, the physical labor. Both of them, as long as you attack it with the same competitive attitude of I'm going to conquer this goal. I have something to do and I'm going to do it. All of those things is stuff that we learn from sports, but it's stuff that sticks with you for your entire life and you accomplish stuff. You're the doer, right? It's there's a lot of people out there that are not successful.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's a lot of people out there that are lazy, whether it's by choice or whatever. They decide that they don't want to do something. You know, as an athlete, after sports, you're always going to tackle what you need to tackle to be successful. You're always going to be, you know, motivated, and maybe not all the time motivated, but you always are going to have those times where you're motivated to do something. The doer. That's who we are. You know what I mean? And that's who we identify with. Is you know, for me, as a dad, you know, playing with the kids, for like the mom playing with the kids, doing the dishes, like keeping it like for you outside of work. Obviously, you have a super multi-dimensional athlete.
But I have to
life,
be mentally strong, otherwise those days are really hard. But it's just that it's been instilled in me that it's hard. Being an athlete's hard. Like it's hard work, physically, mentally, but you just push through. You know, when you learn things and you grow. But I think where a lot of people fail or, you know, see this in a different way is that, yes, ultimately in our 20s, we're probably in the best shape of your life. You have, like, if you don't have kids yet, you're in sports, so you have to go to school, you have to go train. Like, you have kind of a schedule and everything set for you, right? So, yeah, someone can come into the gym, they have kids now, and they're like, well, back when I was 20, I weighed, like, 150 pounds. Now I'm like 180. I think people get so caught up on like numbers like that, or like, yeah, I was 20. Now I'm 34. Well, that doesn't matter. You know, what matters is that you just have that mindset of like, yes, that was back in the day. We can't go relive those days, right? We can't. We got to move forward, and you can be the best athlete right now at the age of 34 and weighing 185 pounds. Right. Might not be like you were back in the day. You might not be an All-American, but you still can get to where you want to be.
But you take those skills that you've learned.
Yes, and you instill them in today.
Right.
Like, don't go back to 10, 15 years ago. We can't relive
be an athlete
those
today.
Yes.
And that's why I love
and it's going to look different. It's going to look completely different, but you can still live your best life.
That's
right
why
now.
I like those Home Depot commercials. Is like, what makes that person in that commercial an athlete today is they're going and they decided to knock down a wall and do something to make something better in their life, right? They took action. They had a job to do or something that they wanted to do, and they did it until they were successful. That's an athlete. Right. You know what I mean? The person that you know, the coaches that come in and coach and you know, help other people. Yep. That's an athlete. The person that volunteers for charity work and goes and does something, the doer, the person that takes initiative and has that mindset of, I have a list of things to do, I'm going to knock it out, I'm going to be successful in this list. This list could be as simple as making the bed, putting clothes on your kids, and getting your kids out the door to school. Like, that makes you an athlete because of what the way that you attack that day, right? And then also on that list is training, doing something active, physically being an athlete. And that's why we train like athletes, so that the rest of life we can accept that we are an athlete in everything that we do. You know what I mean? And so it's just funny, like a lot of people are accepting now here at Krave are accepting of, I'm an athlete when I'm in the gym. You know what I mean? But I don't feel like they go home and tell their significant other that, I'm an athlete. You're an athlete because of the hard work that you're putting in doing X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean?
And I mean, you guys are younger than us in different stages in your life, but do you think your friends to this day think they're still athletes, like that now that they're done with college, like sports and everything like that, or like how would they?
I wouldn't say so. I think a lot of us probably are having that same mindset that, I like the way you guys frame it. Athlete is more of a mindset and less of an occupation. I think as, you're going through high school or, young, playing sports, high school, college, whatever it is, wherever your sports career takes you, you view being an athlete as like your occupation. I went to college I chose the college I chose simply because I wanted to play sports. I viewed my, responsibility, my occupation as being an athlete. When that's done, you're kind of in that weird, awkward stage of, oh shit, I don't play soccer anymore. My main goals, which revolved around being physically a good athlete and a good soccer player and that athlete by occupation, it's done. And I think a lot of people,
and just
don't make that transition from,
right.
I'm no longer an athlete by occupation, but I can still take all those skills that I learned as an athlete by occupation and become an athlete by mindset long after my playing career is over.
And then your occupation changes,
but I can still be an athlete by mindset. The
vehicle of how you harness your athleticism and how you harness that mindset changes.
Yep.
So the vehicle that changes now to your coaching, both at Krave and coaching soccer, but the mindset, the things you learned, the physically the way you guys, the way that you still train, all of nothing has changed. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things that, and of course it's tough to change people's perception on what a word means, right? But that's to us what the definition of athlete is, right? And so to make people feel more comfortable, and it's funny because I feel like we do something a lot of times, and then the general population or the mainstream catches up to where we're at. I just saw a commercial the other day, and it was a group of women. I don't know if it was like a clothing commercial or what it was. I know what you're talking. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. It was for like women's pads. Or no?
Oh, what? It might have been. Yeah. Yeah.
Really? And I'm like, this is genius. It was women who were the average woman, and they were like, "This isn't." And I think I was like, "Yes, I showed you this because I'm like, this was like 3 months ago. You're probably busy doing something." And I was like, "But look at this commercial. Like they're saying this is an athlete," and I think it's so cool. Like this, yes, we're all athletes. Like you don't have to look a certain way to be an athlete. But it was for like pads or something. It was like mind blowing, but I loved it.
Yeah, and that's. And I feel like the mainstream is starting to catch up on what the word athlete means. Yes. Yeah. You know what I mean? 100%. And I'd love to drive it forward with more of competing against yourself that makes you an athlete. You know what I mean? And the biggest thing that we have to think about is, I'm an athlete. I feel like I'm successful. You're an athlete. And you're successful. Let's continue to motivate each other and continue to push each other, because like athletes, we're on the same team. You know what I mean? And that's what we want to create at Krave, is this big team of athletes that are achieving things and are successful at what they're doing, whether it is concrete work, whether it is a stay-at-home mom, whether it is an office job, or whether it is running a marathon, or the goals that you have physically, training, beating a challenge, chopping 20-30 seconds off your mile time challenge this season. All of those things is what the definition of being an athlete is the doer, the successful person.
And I think it's almost easier to describe who's not an athlete. It's like the person with a shitty attitude.
Right.
You know, like
Yeah.
it's easier to
Yeah.
just say these 4 things are not an athlete, and it's
Yeah.
more of that mindset.
Mhm.
Like the people that bring others down, you know, like things like
Right.
that. That's not a definition of an athlete.
Right.
You know,
And
there's
just like your coach's shirt says, America needs athletes. Like that's our mission statement, right? America needs athletes because of those things. If everyone's an athlete and everyone treats each other like we're on the same team, think about, and I talk about this to every new athlete at Krave. Think about your team. You know, if you've ever been on sports, again, we learned something from sports. Your locker room had all races, all religions, all different backgrounds, all people. Everybody was raised differently, but every social economic levels, everybody had to get along. If they had differences, they had to be put aside if you're going to work together as a team and be successful as a team, right? So I feel like today, especially in America, where I feel like we've more divided, more differentiating views and different people disagreeing and not getting along with someone else. If we take that back to where we're all on the same team because we are all athletes, and if we describe ourselves as athletes and we think about everybody on the other side of the aisle as still on our team, now we can open up more conversations. We can eliminate the racism. We can eliminate the sexism. We can eliminate anything that are those negative things that a lot of it from the internet that that you have these trolls. That's a good
Right.
a troll is not an athlete. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like
here.
that's
So
that would be
far.
like
Right.
the shithead troll online is not the athlete,
Right.
right? Because the athlete is positive, is encouraging people, is making a situation better, and obviously a troll is trying to elicit negative feelings and all those
Right.
things. So
Which I don't even understand those people. Like,
You just gotta be so
I don't know.
miserable
It's a
in
whole
your
nother
life.
I know, you gotta be-
you gotta,
podcast,
you gotta share
You
it with
have
the
to.
world, I guess. Try to bring everyone else down.
Yeah.
but then they're embarrassed because they'll be like fake accounts that
Yeah.
want to do it. I'm like,
Right.
I would
okay,
say
just be yourself.
Miserable,
then if you're-
insecure, all sorts.
Yeah.
You can
I know.
That's not an athlete.
run down the list of
right,
adjectives.
definitely not an athlete.
But and one thing too that I think that is good that you brought up too. I think that the team aspect of being an athlete is really important too, and that's something that we all touch on. Like you said, whenever any new athlete joins our team at Krave, is we're more than a gym. We're not a gym. We are a team, and it's something where one thing I think that sports has taught me and it's taught a lot of people is how do you fit in and be a part of that team, because there's different roles
Yes.
on every team. You can't have
I
if you
love
have
the analogy of like the quarterback and like
Yeah.
the O lineman.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like you can't have, if there's 100 people, you can't have 100 people with no leaders, but you also can't have 100 leaders and
Right.
with no one that will follow. And you know what I mean? So there's these different roles, and I think that's interesting too to look at that as, we have a team in our gym with all of our athletes. And you're a part of that team, obviously. But then there's other things too. Your coworkers and your family. Like you have to figure out what role you fill in that team as well.
Right.
So
Yeah, I
what
love that.
role do you fill in your family? What role do you fill at work? And and that's something too that I think being an athlete is a really important part of it, is that teamwork aspect and figuring out how you fit in. I mean, like us, we're a good example. Like we all have things that we're good at. We all have things that someone else is better at than us. But I think just trying to complement each other and figure out what role
Yeah.
we fill in best, I guess, as
Yep.
part of our team, and
Right.
that's what makes it successful. So
Yes.
Definitely.
100%.
And that's like the cool thing about what we do also is, like, in the different seasons, in the challenges and in the things that we do, you may be more successful, even just your body type. You may be more successful being maybe you're a bigger guy. You thrive better during strength season,
Right.
where you're going to put up numbers and being on the top 10 on the team and all this kind of stuff in strength season. But in endurance season, you may not put up the best mile time and all that kind of stuff. So, but the person that is putting up the best mile time might not put up the biggest number on bench press, right? So all of that kind of correlates the exact same way as a team would, where the lineman on a football team is probably not going to be running the fastest 40, but then he is going to be most likely squatting the most, benching the most, that kind of stuff, or at least up in there that top.
Yeah, or like Brittany Michael, like she's strong as hell,
Right.
And she just knows she's not a runner, but she has a positive attitude when it's endurance season or when she has to do that. She knows she's probably not going to do as good as she would strength, but she still
Right.
tries hard and shows up and does it.
Kills it, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the type of athletes that we love, is those that, again, like you just said, know what role that they excel at, and then try as hard as you can to increase what you might need more work on, get better at those things, but then take the lead when it comes to what you excel at.
Right,
in
right.
that regard,
And that's something too, where and we kind of talked about this, I think not on the podcast, but in our own. We had conversations off the podcast too, actually. But we talked about this
We
last
only
week.
talk
We only ever
during this,
communicate on this podcast. So
on purpose.
but it's one of those things
We know our
where
roles.
like I have a list of anytime there's a new prospective athlete that comes in, I have a mental list in my mind of, okay, these, I look at this session like, oh, these 4 people are in here. I know that these 4 are going to be great leaders that will help this new person out, because if there's 18 people and me as a coach, I'm trying to work with 18 different people, and 9 of those people might not even need me constantly standing there correcting their form. A lot of people, there's a role of an athlete that comes in, does their thing, needs that accountability, that motivation, and needs me as a coach to motivate them, but they don't need me necessarily to sit there and critique their form, the entire session. There's some athletes that don't need me to be screaming at them the whole time, but they need a little bit more of instruction and more, correcting their form.
Right.
And there's athletes that are, people that are going to be great leaders, that if a new athlete comes in, I know I can put them in their group, and if I'm not able to be over there watching them every second, I know that, okay, this person's going to be able to, they know this striking combo, or they know what they're doing and are comfortable enough leading this new athlete.
Yep.
And then there's people that aren't necessarily as comfortable in a leadership role, and that's okay. And it's a
Right.
part of figuring out what role you fit on that team. So and they're all equally important, obviously, you know what I mean? So every role needs to be filled, and whether it's in the gym, whether it's again at work, family, for your friend group, anything, it's
And if you
important
think
to be
about
able
these, I love that too. And it's like the big names, like your Ed Milet's, they're all leaders, but they lead in different ways.
right.
Because I think so many people that want to be an Ed Milet, like you're not ever going to be an Ed Milet because he's just a different makeup, a different personality than you, but you can still be a leader in a different way. And some people are going to vibe with you better than they're going to vibe with Ed Milet and things like that. So I think sometimes we think we should be people who we're not because that's leadership to them, but we're all our own leaders in our own unique ways.
Right. Yeah, I know. And I've talked to people too, and people that, come in the door for the first time, and they'll say, oh, this person was really helpful because just by leading by example, because they
Right.
showed me that, okay, like I want to be like this person, they maybe have, maybe they look like what I want to look like, or whatever it may be. And, I saw that they took a rest during agility, so I know, I can rest. I don't have to, do whatever and keep going. Or there's some people that say, oh, this person really helped me out because they literally stopped what they were doing, put their weight down, and came over and told me and showed me what to do. There's visual learners, there's auditory learners, there's kinetic, there's all sorts of different ways of learning, and there's all sorts of different ways of leading and coaching and teaching. And so everyone's going to need something different. And that's where
that's where the team
comes in. Exactly. So
No, and that's the one thing that we'd love to get to the point where people are confident and comfortable outside of the gym saying, I'm 33 years old and I'm an athlete, and I'm an athlete because I do these things and I accomplish these goals, and I take care of business in this way. You know what I mean? And so to be able to describe yourself as an athlete, that's the number one thing that we're trying to accomplish, I think, is by definition, having that athlete mindset, living life like an athlete, like we talk about at the end of every podcast, you're an athlete, live like it. That is kind of our mantra that will hopefully everybody can be more comfortable saying those words without thinking that if I don't go play sports, I'm no longer an athlete. You know what I mean? And that ultimately is living life like an athlete. So that's one of the biggest things as far as, we were talking about our marketing and talking about what we want to accomplish through marketing and what some of our goals are. And that's what I think that people, and there's different brands have different ways of saying it, but at the end of the day, they're saying that you're an athlete. You know what I mean? Like some brands say that like Home Depot, you're a doer. Come here because we know that you're a doer and you're going to accomplish great things, and we'd like to supply the tools that you can do these great things with, right? Other brands say, that you're a successful person because of this, and they talk about what makes you a successful person, and those different things, all to us tie into living a great life, being successful, and that means living like it. So great conversation.
That
We
was
just kinda
good
wanna
for
flush those.
Candid.
Yeah.
That was, yeah.
Yeah, we don't have a sheet today.
Needed.
That was somehow even less planned than normal. Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
It's tough to be. We're pretty last minute on all
It's
that
okay.
planning.
We very rarely plan much. Today we planned
Planned
nothing.
zero.
But I
There was
love
like
podcasts
one
that
topic.
just
No,
you
I
can
think it was a
tell
good
it's
one.
not
Yeah, I think it was
so-
good
Yeah.
and important. Yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, for whatever reason, when people come in and I say, oh, our athletes, this is what our athletes do, and they say, oh, well, I'm not going to fit in because I'm not an athlete. Like,
Right.
well, you are though.
You are.
You can't if you choose to be.
Yep.
Not
Exactly.
everyone is.
And you might
But
not
you
have
can't
ever
be.
played sports in your
Yeah.
entire life, but you can still mold into an athlete
Right, yeah,
and want to be
absolutely.
the best version of yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
And you probably learned skills that made you an athlete in different areas, whether you played a sport or not.
Yeah.
You had been on a team probably.
Mhm.
You might have been in band, and that's a team that you've learned to be an athlete while
or
being in band.
choir,
whatever it might be.
whatever it
Yeah.
is, yeah.
'Cause
And
they
that's
have-
why I
they
love
have
our
different
Jersey
roles.
trade ball because it's like
There's
no
a
matter what
There's
team
so much
you've
cool
been
stuff.
on,
Yeah.
like
A lot of
just
different
bring it in.
options.
Special Olympics Iowa, and they're great athletes, and like
Yeah.
everyone's an athlete, and it's
That's what
just so
that's
cool.
the one thing that I love about Special Olympics, specifically, is like no matter what age you are. Granted, you're competing in something, right? But they know they're an athlete.
100%.
Oh
Those-
yeah, absolutely.
those-
the best. They think they're
Special
the
Olympics,
best
they-
athletes in the
yes.
world. Like, and it's just that mindset that they have.
Yeah.
And it's so cool.
And they can accomplish so much because of that mindset
Yes.
alone.
Because you ask
right?
a lot of those kids, oh, what do you like to do? And they're like, oh, a Special Olympics Iowa.
Oh,
like
yeah.
that's what I'm an athlete. Like they
Yep.
bring that up. It's
And
one of
that's
the
their
first things, and
identity.
they're freaking proud of it.
Yeah, and I think that should be everybody's
Mm-hmm.
identity. When you say I'm an athlete, it means so much more than what the definition of playing sports is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I think some people are even embarrassed to say that they work out or something. Like not even embarrassed, but like
Well, and it's
I
funny.
don't know what it
there's-
is. It's hard to describe it.
There's like a negative, in some sense, there's like a negative connotation because like there's the meathead. Again, there's air quotes for you
Right,
that aren't
yeah.
watching.
Right.
There's the gym bro,
Yes.
and like
Yeah.
that's not what we're dealing with
Yeah.
here. It's just, you know what I mean? Like or
And
yeah,
I think that a lot of people in the right environment would be okay admitting and saying in a confident way that I'm an athlete or I go to the gym and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But when then they get with a group of people that maybe doesn't excel in the way that they excel, they almost dumb themselves down to make the other people feel more comfortable.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And that I hate seeing that, because at any level, no matter what the activity, why would you ever make yourself seem smaller to make someone else feel more
Right.
comfortable?
Especially for how hard you're working in the gym.
Like
and-
you're killing it. I'm
Yeah.
not saying
Be
go
proud,
brag
right.
and
Yeah.
and be a dickhead about it, right? But if someone, if you're in a situation where you're staying silent because someone else doesn't work out and clearly doesn't live a healthy life or isn't successful, what do they say? You're the average of the 5 people that you hang out with the most or whatever. So if you're hanging out with people that are that are all the time making you feel like you have to be less than you are as an athlete to make them feel comfortable, then most likely your level of success and your level of drive and competition and all that kind of stuff is going to slowly become the average of those people that you're trying to make comfortable, instead of what should be happening is you should be demonstrating to them, hey, you should live your life like an athlete too. Here's what I do, and here's why I'm an athlete. Join me in this journey. Be more successful. I'll pull you up with me versus coming down to make you feel comfortable. You know,
some people need that extra pull.
Yeah.
Don't know where to start or how to do it. So.
And there's a spot for them on the team as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got, we have our
Craving, which was the Halloween theme. This or that Halloween edition. So, here we go.
This is a tough one. All sorts of
It's
tough.
there's lots of tough ones.
I haven't looked at these
11:10.
yet.
Do we have anybody that needs to roll at any certain time?
I have 15 minutes.
Cool.
All right.
Okay, so this or that, costume or no costume?
I'm a no costume kind of guy. I'm boring, so when it comes to Halloween,
I'm a no costume unless planned by someone else.
there you go. If I have to plan it myself,
That's probably me too.
I don't have the creativity to do it.
Yeah.
Last year, I take a guess is what I went for Halloween last year.
A soccer
A
player.
goalie.
Nope.
Oh.
No. Even more basic than that.
Ooh.
It has to do with my name.
Jake from State Farm.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Khakis and a red
That's
polo.
good.
That's
That's
all I
good.
needed.
That
I
is
was
perfect.
done.
Those are good Halloween
Super
costumes.
easy last
Those are
minute when
funny.
your name is Jake.
I love it. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah,
What
I
about you?
was no costume. Which is so funny because my mom's like the whole opposite. My mom has costumes for days. I just think the organizing of it and getting everything ready is just a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But
yeah.
I like kids. I like dressing the kids up in costumes. You know,
Oh,
like
yeah,
I
when
get
you're a kid, I
excited for
suppose,
them.
Yeah.
But then when I think, well, we should do family costumes, I'm like, no, I just like the kids.
What about back in the day, like college time frame? Were you the dress up in like the elaborate, or
No,
were you like
more of a
basic,
simple,
sexy type?
Yeah, I think I did a football player one time. Here's the thing,
You
like
were a football
some
player one time.
some
in all my football
costumes
stuff.
are a little bit out there. Like so in those college days,
Oh.
sometimes they'd wear stuff. And like nowadays, girls wear like crop tops and stuff. So like you see it all in like the short shorts. But back then, like girls didn't really wear that. So these costumes, like when people would come out, it's like, oh my gosh,
It
what
was
is she
a
wearing?
Drastic
But now
change
people
from
wear that
those.
like all the time. It's so
It's less embarrassing now.
No, I don't know. It was fun because I think it was more like let's go out and get drunk and dress up.
Yeah.
So it wasn't. I don't even know if it was on the costume.
And guys, I don't like back in college. Did you guys have anybody that was like elaborate costume wearers?
Not at
I'm sure
all,
there was a
no.
couple,
Like,
but
Yeah.
not a ton.
I think
we
it's
were
more of a
always
female
We were
thing.
much
always
more
like,
of a female thing.
yeah.
I think it's more of a female's excuse to
Yes,
like
dress kind of
not wear a lot of clothes.
Exactly.
Like, but it's
And I
Halloween
think-
though. So
Right. No, 100%. And the money, like the cost, like $50
Yeah, for something
like
you're gonna wear
nothing.
one
That's the
time.
best thing. Like they're wearing like black lingerie with like whiskers.
Yes.
What are you?
I'm a cat. Like,
Cat.
Duh.
It's,
That's
yeah.
my favorite. That's hilarious to me. All right.
Didn't you dress up as a baby one time with a big diaper?
I was a baby, yeah.
And then you carried a bottle of beer around?
Or I had alcohol in my baby bottle.
Yeah.
all that.
That's awesome.
That's what
Clever.
That was my one.
That's
That was
clever.
the 1 year that I think I did anything in college.
That's fine.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's see what 67% of people said costumes.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so sweet or sour?
Sweet.
Sweet.
Sour.
Totally depends on my mood. This is a mood thing.
Bad question for you.
Yeah.
Both.
Both. So 18 for sweet, 5 for sour. Carving, pumpkin carving or pumpkin
I thought you went
patch?
percentages again, and I was trying to figure it out.
Like, that
I was
doesn't
like
quite
18
add
and
up.
5 does not add up
Pumpkin
to-
carving or pumpkin patch?
Ugh.
Carving's gonna take up less time, but I'm
It's
also
dirty.
not good at it.
Then it's yeah.
I'm a pumpkin patch guy.
Yeah, I would say patch because like the cleanup of the pumpkin carving is a lot.
Can we,
I haven't done
can we
either
carve
for a
a,
long
Can
time.
we carve a pumpkin at the pumpkin patch
Oh,
so
yeah.
that we don't have to clean it up? We just leave with the carved pumpkin. That's what they should do.
That's what they should
That's a
do.
good idea.
Set up some tables for you to do that.
Let's see.
Then you can have just like pumpkin guts all over at that.
11 people voted for carving, 12 for patch.
Ooh, right down the middle.
Interesting.
Corn maze or hayrack ride?
I'm down for a hayride.
Hayrack ride.
Literally,
I would
anytime.
say.
I think
With
mazes
or
are
without
cool.
Halloween.
I think mazes
Yeah.
are cool.
Mazes
So
are
like
great.
I'm a little bit claustrophobic, so like that just like freaks me out a little bit being
I like the challenge.
Stuck in a
aspect
corn
of that.
maze.
I'm not a huge like get scared guy, but that
Are we talking like a
like the haunted
oh
maze.
god,
type
A
of-
scary
never
maze?
mind. I hate that stuff.
But I mean, like I
No,
think
we're
I
not
think
talking
it's
about
neat.
a
Or just like you're
corn
just
any
But
maze.
corn
that,
maze
that's
is
what
there.
goes through my head.
Oh.
That's why I wouldn't
Oh,
pick
so you
that.
like yours? Yeah.
Oh,
Because
I'm
like to
talking
me,
haunted
to me,
houses.
like every horror film that has a corn maze in it that's like
that's just
where-
gonna happen to you in
that's-
real life. You
that's-
just assume.
I don't assume that, but I just like
Let's go back in
let's not
time.
risk it.
The one in
Not
1
gonna take
million
that
chance
chance.
Yeah.
happens in
Yeah.
real life. I want to just not put myself
No, but I'm
in that
not like
situation.
I don't like scary movies. I don't like scary things. So like haunted houses.
Okay, we're not there
Oh,
yet. That's
okay,
is
that's
that
on
another
there.
question?
Okay, I don't know.
No, but like the corn maze, so you know what I'm saying though?
But
Like
I'm-
if it's just like
but you
3
can't
rows
go-
long
yeah.
and it's
you
like
can't-
I'm just
yeah.
stuck in something, it just like
But you
freaks me out
can't
with that.
enjoy like a drink during a corn
Right.
maze. Like on
A hayride is relaxing.
Yes.
It's
A
relaxing.
corn maze is
That's
Drink
exciting.
stressful, right,
Drunk
that's
corn
so
maze,
true.
exciting.
That's true. There we go. Then you have no corn.
Will
maze.
you make
just
it
walk
out?
in a
Who
straight
knows?
line. Like if you're drunk enough, a corn maze is not a maze. It's just walking straight out.
You walk
Or
straight
in
long
three
enough in one
circles.
direction, you're gonna
I'm
get out
sure
of there.
that's what all these voters are thinking too.
I
They
know.
probably put this much
Okay.
thought into it. Yeah.
8 votes for corn maze, 13 for hayride.
Nice. Hayride's where it's at.
All right,
A
now
little
we
apple
have
cider,
scary
little
movie or
truffle.
haunted house.
Scary movie, 100.
I can confidently say
1,000,000,000%.
neither for me.
I'm a neither guy.
I used to love haunted houses.
I
in
like
high
scary
school.
movies.
Yes.
I can't do
Like,
the haunted
we would,
houses.
We would
at
always
all.
go to Omaha. Like my
Yeah.
whole, like my class
Like,
would, or we would pick
We would always.
like 4 or 5 haunted houses and go to them. It got
Yeah.
expensive because haunted houses are like
Yeah, they're pricey.
I
I've
can't
only
bucks
I've only been to
to
one
go
haunted
get
house in my
scared.
life, and it was when I was a child, and I
probably.
ran out crying. I've
Do
never
they-
been back since.
I
do
hate
they
them,
have
never.
them here?
There's like, have you
I've
ever been to
never
Sleepy Hollow?
seen-
Have you ever been to
Because
Sleepy Hollow?
Omaha had no.
Sleepy Hollow is like the place to go. It's over in Des Moines, kind of.
Is it?
That's
They-
like-
they
Because
have a lot-
Omaha,
they
remember
have,
how many
like,
haunted houses
all
they had
sorts of
there?
fun
You
stuff
go to
there.
Oh,
like
they had-
north and like they're all over the place.
You had 20 different really good haunted
Really
houses
good
when you were
ones.
there, and so like that was a high school thing for us too. I grew up in Omaha, and they like you would get forced to with like your friend group
Yeah.
go to a bunch, and like
Not me.
I
So
absolutely
No.
hated them. We actually had a lot of my friends working in them.
Oh, that's a terrible job.
Oh.
And those going to those ones were a lot more fun because it was like one of my girlfriends comes out like with her head looking like it's cut off, and you're just like, oh hey Courtney, what's up? And like that to me like humanized everything, and it wasn't like scared.
that's-
But like I hated haunted houses.
I can't
in
do haunted
general.
houses.
I
I can watch
yeah.
scary
And I
movies
always was
all
just
day
like
long, but-
almost like someone would pop out and I'd be like, oh,
like
can't hit
you almost
anybody.
right.
I can't, yeah.
No, it's
But I don't like scary movies either.
No, I hate both. I don't. Like I said,
just
I've been to one haunted house. I don't think I've ever watched a scary movie. Honest to God,
Really?
I don't think I ever have.
Saw.
I don't think I
You
ever
gotta
will
watch
either.
the Saw.
I'm never
all
going to.
13 of them.
Saws,
Right.
Saws I liked more because
They're kind of real though.
that was
kind of
scary.
terrifying.
Yeah,
It was a
that's
little
the
more terrifying, but
part.
like for me, I liked them because it was more of a thinker. Most horror films, I think we've had this
Oh,
conversation.
they're terrible.
but
Some
Or
of
like
them
the
are so
Texas
generic.
Chainsaw
The
Massacre.
premise
like,
of them is just the dumbest storyline in the world, so I can't watch those. But
like
like
screams,
this one,
like the
like,
scream.
yeah, those ones are so funny now.
Did
though.
you ever watch those?
No,
Scream.
but you guys think it's funny. I think
If
it's
you-
scary.
No, if you watch
No.
Scream,
It's
I
so
don't
far.
want to.
It's so
no, have you ever
far-fetched. Like, it is-
watched what's the comedy one? Of
Scary movie.
Scary
No,
movie.
even that one
Yeah.
scares me.
Really?
Yeah.
So if you watch Scream now, Scream scared the shit out of me because I watched it when I was like in 3rd grade.
But
But-
that will make a difference.
But
Yeah, right.
but I watch it today, and I couldn't tell you like if I watched that. To me, that looks like the comedy version. like because it is
Right.
so ridiculous.
It's so funny.
But back then, I was like
You
more
were
into
8
the
years
like the
old and-
scary part of
Right.
it, and I was like, holy shit! Like you just don't realize how terrible the acting and the premise and everything
Yeah.
else is. So it made me like I watched it again and it made me laugh.
Or like, what is it when you should go like run upstairs or run somewhere and
Oh,
then they
like
run to the wrong place
critiquing
and you're
their
like, don't
decisions
go
and all of
there.
those.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
hilarious.
And most of the time,
Like, don't go by the window
It's like
or
some
don't
of
go
it's
outside
really
and open the
obvious
door.
stuff,
Like,
too.
run away, call
Yeah.
911.
a lot of
Super
a lot
obvious.
of those, I'm like, I'm packing most of the time, so I'm like, yeah, that wouldn't happen to me.
But then they
because-
like pick up the phone and there's no dial tone all of a sudden. Like, you know, their phone died now. It's like, oh,
or they
God,
trip
it's just
17
times.
times on nothing.
Just
As
keep
as
falling
as
and
Jason's
falling.
like walking slowly behind them,
Yeah.
like not changing pace, but just watching them trip and
True.
and
And again,
trip again.
and again.
So funny.
He's like, I'll be there in a second. You just keep
Keep
tripping.
doing you. Thanks
Yeah.
for helping out.
The
Okay,
there's
so-
there's a an insurance commercial about that where they're like, should we hide behind all
yeah,
the chainsaws?
or get in the running car.
Yeah. Let's go buy the
Buy
chainsaws.
chainsaws.
Yeah.
Okay, so 13 for Scary Movie, 9 for Haunted House.
It's,
All right.
Again, probably a relaxing thing. I'd much rather have a drink and watch a scary movie than have to be us
walking around with people like
So,
actively scaring you.
No
Yeah.
decorations or decorations for Halloween.
I'm
don't
fine with
care,
decorations
but-
as long as I don't do them. Like
Right.
if Haley,
Haley wants
like
to
Haley
put
has a
them
out.
shitload of pumpkins out right now, and it's fine with me. I
Yeah.
don't care, but like as long as I don't do them.
I'm a minimalist when it
Yeah.
comes to decorations in general. You have a
Yeah.
bunch of decorations.
I like
that you
fall decorations, like the pumpkins, but Halloween, I'm thinking like spiders. and,
Oh,
like
yeah,
some people
then
get
no.
so
There's some
into,
like yards that you
my
drive
mom
by,
does,
like
she
that are
loves
just
it.
like crazy that they have
totes
the time
of
for
spiders and like the the black birds and
Yeah.
stuff. But
Or they
I've
have-
never been
They
into
have like 19 skeletons.
Yeah.
out
Just in their yard.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what my mom does. So she'll like get done with October comes, she puts out her Halloween, and then she has to get her fall stuff out, and then her Christmas stuff
I think
out.
Christmas,
I'm
that's
like,
a lot.
holy shit!
That's like
that's
that's
a
like
lot.
3 months in a row.
Yes,
Yeah.
and she
There's
goes
a
all
lot
out.
of stuff going on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy. Okay, so we had 9 for no decorations, 13 for decorations. So more.
Good for you guys. Good for you.
But maybe they're thinking fall. They could be.
Yeah,
They're living like athletes.
They are.
getting
they're
stuff
doers.
done.
They are doers.
Apple cider or pumpkin latte.
apple cider for
I don't think I
sure.
like either of them.
Not a big
Okay.
pumpkin fan either way. Apple cider, I could
I
mess
could
with.
probably figure it out.
We talked about it last night because we had at your event we had
Pumpkin spice martinis.
pumpkin spice martinis, but then you also had apple cider with that, or they said that drink that Bobby
Oh yeah.
brought
that-
in is good with apple cider, and I was
Super
like, I haven't had apple cider since like a college party at your old house, and apple cider is good then.
Yeah.
But I don't like just drinking.
I like it like at the pumpkin patch when you're like
Apple
walking around and it's cold out. It's kind of nice.
Better than a pumpkin latte.
Yeah.
Oh.
But I think that's a mood setter. I think because I know when I'm at the pumpkin patch, like I don't get it
Oh.
very much. So
Okay,
it's like,
so say it's
I don't know.
a Tuesday.
but on. And we're at the pumpkin patch.
no,
You're just
Are you
sitting
normally
there.
at a
You're
pumpkin
sitting
No,
patch?
out.
I'm asking. No,
It's a
pumpkin
normal
spice
Tuesday.
latte.
Pumpkin
Oh.
spice latte. Okay.
That's the answer.
Yeah. So then that's the answer.
So we had 11 and 11.
Ooh,
That's a dead
tiebreaker.
split.
All right, give out or get candy or give out candy.
Get candy.
I like giving out candy because I then also get candy.
I hate listening to kids' jokes. I'm not gonna lie. I
Why
can't
is
do
that a
it.
thing in Iowa?
Yeah,
I don't know. Was it not a thing
drives
other
me
places?
No.
Was it?
No.
I've never
Just
heard of
like
that.
beggars'
Have you got-
night.
okay, so I grew up
Beggars'
in
It
night.
might,
Beggars
it
Night's
might
dumb.
only be in the Des Moines metro
It
too.
might be. That's like the typical thing is like kids come up and you're like,
Tell a
oh,
joke,
you have
yeah.
to tell me a joke in
I've
order to
never
get
heard of
candy.
that,
For one, I
honest to
hated
God.
coming up with jokes when I was a kid, and two, I hate listening to them because 99% of them are horrible
And you're
or
just, yeah.
told terribly.
See,
So I hate that part of
I
it.
only noticed this as a trend when we moved into our first home, and by then we had a kid, so dad jokes were my thing already.
So
Like I shifted hard into dad
it just
joke
happened
zone.
instantly.
So I crack up at every single one of the kids' jokes,
You
which
do.
is
Like
hilarious.
you find that humorous.
But I do enjoy giving out candy more because then there's less walking around, there's more relaxing, and I get candy in either situation.
Regardless, there's candy involved.
Well, so at our house that we're in now, we just put like the big candy bowl out.
You don't even sit there?
No,
Oh,
that's
you
what
sit
everyone does, and then we just like
No.
go.
That was a COVID thing. We were only there for COVID.
No, but when we go trick or treating this year, we're gonna have the bowl out so kids can still come to our house and get candy. Just run up
When
to
we-
the door.
when we
yeah,
do
when
Not
we
there.
leave.
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
So it's kind of nice. You don't
okay,
really have to
gotcha.
talk to anyone. You just like we'll leave a bowl of candy out, so who knows how many kids are actually taking.
So
When
that
we got
means
home, we were
one
literally
kid-
gone for like 30 minutes, and
Yeah.
it was gone, and it was
Yeah.
like a big ass
you
bowl.
can't trust kids
That
to
means
take-
one
take
kid.
just
one.
That
Yeah.
means one kid got an entire bowl of candy,
Yeah.
and we had 19
19
disappointed
Because when you-
little
Yeah.
kids.
Because when you think about it, when you guys
Unfortunately.
have kids, well, you probably won't, because we probably ruined that for you guys
Absolutely.
with all of our horror stories.
Definitely.
But like, you're like, how do we do both? You know, because the kids want to go out and get candy, but then you also want to give it, so that's kind of just you just put it out there. And then,
That makes sense. Makes
Um,
sense.
But yeah, so let's see, 6 for candy, 15 for give out candy.
Look at you
okay.
guys.
Party or night in?
Night in.
Night in.
Night
Unless it's the
in.
Smash Park Crave
Unless it's
party.
the Smash Park party.
Yeah.
Yeah, night in. A show.
I'm definitely a
So
homebody.
9 for party, 12 for night in. Alright.
So,
That's
yeah.
it.
That was good.
So I think next week, I think this is going to be a Bachelor craving coming up.
Ah,
I mean,
all right.
that goes with what we're going to be
All
talking
right,
about.
so this.
I was like,
well,
I'm done with this.
we are recording this. We will have a last
So
week's
what we're going to do,
podcast come out today. This podcast will come out in about 3 days. So
cravings-
today will be like Friday.
okay.
Friday, everybody.
Yeah. Friday.
Yeah.
I love Friday.
So
get it.
It's a great day for a podcast.
Back on Wednesday, you
Just
got
today.
our
Okay, so people will
you
have
got our,
Friday night.
interview with Colette that was awesome.
So Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, people will have, and they'll have a chance to go back and watch The Bachelor.
Doesn't it come out
And
on
pick
Mondays
up-
on too as well?
Yeah, Mondays. So we
So
just
then
had it
we-
last night.
So
Or
then
2 nights
two
ago.
nights ago. But then
I'm
by
very
the next
confused.
time, by the time we do our next podcast,
Oh, we're
they'll-
time traveling.
they'll
here.
have
No,
already
so what we're
watched
gonna
it.
all
do
over the
is who do you
place.
think's gonna win? We'll do a craving, and they have to type the guy's name in. So that'll give
Alright.
them some time to go back and watch the first episode, so we can see like who's gonna win.
So,
So we'll talk about that. So you guys have to watch it and say who
last
you
Monday's
think's gonna
episode,
Okay.
watch that, and then they have a episode coming up. Sounds good. All right,
Let's get it.
we are out of here. Let's get the hell out of
Bachelor
here. Remember,
Wednesdays.
you're an athlete. Live like it.
Sir.
Born an athlete, you'll die an athlete. It's in your DNA.
Live like an athlete so that you can be successful in life.
You're an athlete. Live like it.
ANA, America needs athletes.